Alright, what is up guys? We are back with our next video in the playlist. So in this video, I'm just going to be taking you through how to create a really great outline that you can send off to your ghostwriter. So at this point, you will have already chosen your topic and you're ready to start compiling all of the different resources and information that you want included in your book. And this is a really important step because you want to make sure that the ghostwriter knows exactly what it is that they can, or not that they should or should not include in the book. So you want to be very detailed and just provide as many resources or extra documents or links, whatever it is that you want to include. That way it mitigates any confusion and you don't end up getting a ghostwritten book back that has nothing that you wanted in it at all and it's just a bunch of nonsense that you could have saved yourself from by just providing the ghostwriter with a really great and detailed outline. So I'm going to go ahead and show you our template that we have. All of this is going to be linked below for you to use if you'd like. And I'm just going to be showing you the overview, the outline, and then I'll be taking you through a couple examples as we go on. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So let me make myself smaller. Okay, cool. So this is going to be just the basic outline. I'm going to take you through every part of it. So obviously you're just going to insert your title and your subtitle here. These can be working titles. It doesn't have to be your set in stone title yet. You may or may not end up changing it like during the course of your book as you're figuring things out still. But basically we've just got a few important points for the writer here. This is just like a little sort of blurb that explains anything to the writer that you want. So we have already filled this out here. Obviously, if you download the template, you are much more than welcome to change it as you please, add any other concerns or whatever that you have. But basically, it just says, please use the resources provided below throughout this document as a guide to write this book. However, I do encourage you to do further reading and research. Please consult me, etc., etc. Absolutely no plagiarism. And also, if you have any questions, definitely reach out. So basically just lets the ghostwriter know that these resources are there for them to use and to reach out to you as much as they need to, because I think that is something that is always really important when you do hire a ghostwriter, is to be very, very communicative about what it is that you want in your book, because as I said, it just mitigates any confusion. So this is just going to be a main overview. So what niche is your book in, or sub niche? How many words do you want your book to be? So if you want it to be 25,000 words, if you need it to be 50,000 words, just include that. And then a very brief summary of what the book is overall about. So we're obviously going to go into a bit more detail, obviously, in each of the chapters and stuff, but just to sort of let the ghostwriter know right off the bat what the topic is in general. And then positioning. So this part is important as well, because this is basically letting the ghostwriter know who the audience for your book is going to be. So who is the reader? You're going to want to lay out all of the pains and problems that your potential reader might be facing. And again, you want to be detailed here so the ghostwriter knows who they're catering to. You want to make sure that the book is catered towards a specific audience and the problems that you can solve for them. So you're also going to want to outline how the book will actually help the reader. So after you've painted the picture of your target audience for your book and who your ideal reader is, you want to make sure that you also detail how your book is going to provide those solutions to the reader. So you want your reader to come away feeling a certain way, like feeling confident that they can take away the knowledge and skills from your book and actually apply them in real life. So you want to make sure that they know, that the ghostwriter knows those details about how your book will help them and what your reader will gain from reading your book. So actually, let's just go ahead and hop over into the example now to just sort of show you the beginning. So this is just an example that we've made based on a random topic that we chose. So we chose mushroom cultivation, and the subtitle is Become a Mycelial Expert and Learn How to Grow Mushrooms from Home with This Complete Mushroom Growing Guide. This is a fake name as well. So the main overarching niche here is just going to be gardening. Growing mushrooms is not, I guess, necessarily gardening, but that would be like the main overarching niche that you would find for this topic. And then we've included a word count, and then basically the summary. So this is a beginner's guide to growing mushrooms at home, both indoors and outdoors. The reader will first learn the basic knowledge of mushrooms, mushroom culture, mushroom life cycle, and the overview of the cultivation process, followed by novice growing techniques and slightly more advanced methods. So you can see here it basically just outlines the overarching theme of the book and the summary. And then obviously we've just included our title names here. These are our points that you can, so we've gone ahead and filled in here, so you've got the hook. So this is a good little intriguing tidbit that you could include if you're growing a book about mushrooms. So did you know that there's an edible mushroom in the wild that tastes exactly like fried chicken? And guess what? It was expertly named Chicken of the Woods. So obviously, as I said, you're going to be including hooks and points that are relevant to your niche. And then as well, in the introduction, you can include sort of any points that you want to include about the author that show that they are an authority figure or that they know what they're talking about on the subject. So after you've done the introduction, you're then going to go straight into the chapters. So here's a blank version of the template. You're basically, again, you have your take-home message. You're just going to write a few sentences about the main ideas and the main points that the reader should gain from this first chapter. All the chapters of this are the exact same template as this, but you basically just want to, again, be very detailed and then include supporting evidence or relevant links. So let's go ahead and flick back over to the example here. So all right, so here, the take-home message. So this first chapter is the history of biology and life cycle of a mushroom. So this chapter will provide the foundational knowledge of mushrooms for the reader. It will teach them basic structure and biology of mushrooms, mushroom culture, in other words, how mushrooms are used in today's culture, how mushrooms grow, and also an overview of the cultivation process, just to get the reader familiar with it. So this chapter should be the shortest of all chapters. So it's nice and concise about what the take-home message is, and then you also are going to include each of the individual topics that you want included. So we've got mushrooms in a nutshell, so what is a mushroom? And then we've included some links over here, and to be honest, the resources that you provide don't necessarily matter too much. You can use pretty much any source on the internet. However, I will say that the internet obviously is a crazy place. Like, anybody can pretty much put anything they want on the internet, so you just have to be very careful that the information and the links that you're providing, like, unless it's an academic article or something from a book, then you just want to be very, or like a scientific website, that has references and stuff linked. You basically just want to be very careful that the information that you're giving to your ghostwriter is all accurate and actually true. So you don't want to be accidentally sending off like fake facts for them to include. So when you're doing your own research, you just want to make sure that you're double checking all of the sources that you're sending over. So anytime we link something into one of our outlines, we just try to cross-reference with like one or two other websites or find any scientific articles that we can back it up with. So it's obviously going to depend on what niche you're publishing in. So for example, if you're writing something that is quite factual, like either in a sciencey niche or maybe in like the finance niche or something where there are like facts and rules that you have to stick to, and it's not so much of an art like potentially gardening could be, you just want to make sure that all of the information that you're providing is correct and factual. So just double check everything all the time. Don't skip that step. But basically, as you can see, we'll go on to chapter 2. It's pretty, like, the actual process of it is straightforward. It's a bit of effort to put it all together, but it's definitely worth it to put a lot of effort into this step because it will save so much time and confusion from you and your ghostwriters. So again, this chapter says understanding the growing process. So the take-home message is this chapter will present the cultivation process in much more detail. So in chapter 1, it was already mentioned, but then in this chapter, the author wants the ghostwriter to go into much more detail. And it basically just, again, gives the topics that they want included in the chapter. So all the different topics and then all of the different references. And if there are any bits that you specifically want included, you can just write them out. They don't necessarily have to be all links. Like if there are bits that you actually want personally included, you can also include those, just write them in. But hopefully that all makes sense. It's honestly pretty straightforward to do it. It just takes a bit of time to put it all together, to gather all of your resources and to put it into here. And lastly, you're going to want to fill out your conclusions. So at this point, you're just going to want to let the ghostwriter know that this is the place where they're going to summarize all of the main things that your readers should have learned by the end of the book, as well as maybe sort of giving some encouragement to the reader to go out there and actually apply the skills that they've learned. So in this case, we've given the example of now you should know all there is to know about becoming a chess grandmaster, so go out there and challenge someone you know to a game. So you're just going to be wrapping it all up. And to be honest, if you're getting your manuscripts from a ghostwriting company, most of the writers should have a decent amount of experience and they should be able to do this sort of like summary on their own anyway, so you shouldn't have to give too much instruction. However, if there is anything specifically that you do want included, again, just make sure that you include it so that there are no questions asked when you get the manuscript back. So that is basically everything there is to an outline. It's pretty straightforward, but again, it's just nicer for the ghostwriter and for you to have it all in one place so that they can see everything that you want included. So I'm also really quickly, while we're on the topic of an outline, go over how to actually format your book. So if you haven't written a book yet, then you might be kind of wondering, well, how do I actually format it? Obviously this is the main template for actually what information to give off to you want to include to give to your ghostwriter, but the actual format of the book is going to look a little bit different than that. So when you actually open a book, you obviously always see like a title page, and then you've got like your table of contents, your copyright page, and all that. So this template here is going to basically be what that is. So obviously you've got your title page first, and then you're going to include a copyright page. Feel free to use this or change it as you need to, but basically what you would do for this is just include all of the bits that need to be filled in. So the year that you published the book, the name of either the author, your pen name, or if you're publishing as a publishing company, then you would put that there. And then again, fill out the details down here. Then you would fill out your table of contents, and this is something that can either be done once you get your manuscripts back, or as you get bits of it back, you can start filling it in. So that's the table of contents. Again, you're just going to insert all of the information there, and then you will also have a lead magnet in your book. So a lead magnet is a really great way of building an email list and also building your author brand and building an audience, and it helps with having an email list for future use with when you have new books coming out, or if you want to ask for reviews, that sort of thing. And this is usually best placed like right before the introduction, or right after the table of contents, somewhere in the beginning of the book, basically to let the reader know that it's there so they don't accidentally skip it. But again, that goes there. And then you would have your dedication or your acknowledgement. This is optional. We've never actually used any of these in our books that we publish, but it's something that's there. I know a lot of people like to do it. If there's somebody who is like special in your life, or somebody who really helps you while writing this book, then you can obviously add that here. It's quite sweet if you want to do it, or have somebody that you would be able to do it for. And then obviously you're just going to go into all the introduction and chapter sections. And then obviously your conclusion is going to go last. And then something that we always say to include as a self-publisher is a page at the end that has a review for a request. So all this is going to be is a really simple, so it's just this bottom bit here. This is just explaining what this page is, but basically including this in your book really sort of, it's just a call to action for the reader to sort of give back to you for writing a great book. So you just have to type out like a sentence or a couple sentences saying, I hope you've enjoyed this book. If you really have found value in it, then I would really appreciate it if you could take a minute of your time to just go and leave a review on the book. And something we always like to do, we've been doing this lately in all of our books, is including a QR code. So this is really important because it just makes it that much easier for the reader to actually do it. So sometimes if you are reading a paperback book and you see like a link in it, I know for me personally, sometimes if I see a link written out, I can't be asked to like actually get on my phone or my laptop and then go type it in to like get it. So this makes it easier because they can literally take their phone out, scan the QR code, and if they have the Amazon app installed on their phone, which I think most people nowadays do, it will literally take them directly to the review page within the app. They don't even have to sign in or anything, and it just makes it that much easier for them to get directly to your book's review page and leave the review. And even if they don't have the app, it's still easier because they just scan it and it'll take them to Amazon in their phone's browser, and they can leave their review from there. So it's always really good to include that. But those are basically the two sort of templates for the outline in terms of outlining a template for your ghostwriter, as well as the outline of your actual book and the format of your book as a whole once you have the manuscript back. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. In the next video, we're going to be taking you through how to actually hire a ghostwriter and get this outline sent off to them to get an amazing manuscript back. Don't forget that these two templates are going to be linked below if you want to use them. You don't have to use them, obviously, but they just make it a bit easier for you to put all your stuff in one place. So yeah, they'll be linked below in the description. And also don't forget to go ahead and give us a like, a subscribe, and a share. Bye, guys.